again, like I said, tonight we're going to be talking evangelism once again, but we're going to focus much more so on movie nights because as I have said in the past, especially just the recent past, we've talked about how churches can use events as follow-ups to other events. And I always tell churches they should be thinking about events at least a year out. So if you are having some type of summer event coming up, Vacation Bible School, or if you are having a sports camp, or you're having a block party, you should already have an event that you, when you're having your event, that you're inviting people to come to next. So you want to always be connecting people to your church and to your ministry. So that's what we're going to be talking about tonight. Just a reminder, my name is Sandy Coelho, and I serve all of you at the Baptist Churches of New England as the Leadership Development Director. And one of the things that we do at the convention is equip, encourage, and partner with local churches. And so I get to do that on a daily basis. So anytime you need something through our convention, you are, more than happy to just email me or call me. And if I can't help you, I'll connect you with the right person that can do that. And so I'm really excited that we could be together again tonight. So tonight I want to introduce two special guests. First, I want to introduce Dan Knutson. He is the producer of Rock This World Productions. And so I want to have Dan join me, and he's going to introduce the other special guest, because I've been working directly with Dan the last couple of months, and so especially the last week or so. And actually, Dan, last time I saw you, you were outside.
That's right. That's absolutely right.
Enjoying the weather. So anyway, it's good to see you again. And so so happy that we could do this webinar to, really shine the light on what you're doing at Rock This World Productions. So, so yesterday you emailed me and let me know we're going to have another special guest. So why don't you tell us a little bit about that as we get started tonight?
Sure. Thanks, Sandy. I really appreciate you having us on. And it's great to be here with all of the folks that are joining the Zoom call. I actually lived in the Boston area back in the early 80s when dinosaurs still roamed the earth, and enjoyed my time up there. I'm in the deep South now in the heat, and enjoying that just as much. So it's a pleasure to be on tonight. Joel DeVisser is the founder of Rock This World Productions. And he has also been writing most of the projects that we have in process or have completed. He wrote, produced, and he starred in Game Changer, which is the first family comedy that we have put out there for churches to utilize. And our mission is really twofold, and I'm going to let him kind of dive into that just a little bit. But Joel has a background in the police, law enforcement in Michigan, bodybuilding, powerlifting, and then worked in the WWE and professional wrestling for a period of time down in Atlanta. And so he's got a diverse background and has had a tremendous amount of mentoring, training, equipping in this whole movie production field. And it's been a joy to work together with him, and we're excited about what God's doing through this ministry and this mission. We are a 501c3 nonprofit, and the proceeds not only go to developing additional content for churches, but we have mission partners, and Joel will touch on that a little bit as well. Cross International is one of our big partners. So proceeds from our projects actually go to meet the needs of families and children around the world. So I'm going to let Joel come on, and he can kind of give you a quick overview.
Hey, thanks, Dan, and thanks, Sandy, for having us. Really
Yep.
appreciate that. And thanks to
Glad you're
everybody
here.
else who's on the Zoom call here tonight. Yeah, as Dan was mentioning, we are a film company, but we are a mission first and foremost. We are a 501c3 nonprofit, and our primary mission goal is to create entertaining content that reaches non-believers as well as entertains Christians. So we're specifically trying to produce content and stories that are more likely to reach people that have never stepped into a church, more the mainstream people. That's something that God has placed very strongly on my heart over the years, and it was something that became really obvious to me in professional wrestling, where I had 4, 5, 6 minutes of a match in a brief time to talk, but was able to get a huge following of young kids behind the character that I played, simply because of what they saw me doing in the ring. My character was a good guy, and I didn't cheat, and that was very obvious in my matches. And that just the children watching that was enough to get them fired up about doing the right thing and not cheating. And I would have parents after parents after parents come up to me at events for autographs and things and pictures of their kids and just really comment on how that really impacted their kids and how thankful they were that there was a character that their kids could look up to and learn something from. And so when I ventured out into entertainment and almost immediately got absolutely sick to my stomach about, the majority of stuff that's being produced out of Hollywood, it kind of became obvious where God was calling me to go. And that was to do projects that still have a clear gospel message and bring the point back to Jesus. Where Hollywood right now, you can talk about God. They'll allow that once or twice in a film, but you can't talk about Jesus, and the God cannot be the Christian God. He has to be whatever the individual person watching the movie wants to see. And we all know that that's very dangerous. And that's the good part of Hollywood. The bad part of Hollywood is doing the opposite. And right now, statistically, kids up to the age of 17 get 66,000 hours of TV, films, and social media. So what they call media exposure. And most of that today is on a smartphone, as most of us know. So we got kids that are getting 66,000 hours of exposure from Hollywood and mainstream media. And if those same kids go to church once a week for the full 17 years, they only get 800 hours in the church. And so it became pretty obvious that there's a huge mission field out there in the media where we need to increase the amount of 800. We need to fill the gap between the 800 hours and the 66,000 hours and do it in a way that doesn't change the message, but maybe just changes the way the story's told, and maybe a less preachy way, and showing the message more like what I was doing in wrestling. And that's what good filmmaking is. When I started studying film production and actually, all the different aspects of making film, one of the first things they tell you is that movies are to show the story and the message, not to tell it. And so that kind of clicked in my head right away, where it's like, whoa, if I can show Jesus, bear with me. If I can show Jesus through real world situations and real dramatic events that are actually happening where the audience can vicariously connect to that character, then that message comes across real and authentic and believable. And I feel that that's the way that we can reach non-believers and make that introduction to Jesus and to how that life-changing aspect of our lives can come to them and be kind of that first step. Because the Christian community is really focusing more on films that we call, like, for the Sunday school crowd. They were specifically designed to be very preachy, very scripturally, very, a lot of Bible talk and conversational things that just were a little awkward. And it didn't take much studying before I realized that that was pushing away almost all of the non-believers. And that it's still great. That content is still great and serves a purpose. But I was called to reach the people that probably weren't going into church, but to, unlike Hollywood, not ever take the message away from Jesus and to point that light back to him. And so that, long story short, led into starting the mission, because Hollywood basically said, no, we're not interested in your anything that ties back to Jesus. And so we started building the team to launch what we're doing here now with Rock This World Productions, to put out projects that fit that need, but also another important way of showing people the actual message of Jesus is to actually live it out. So that's what we're trying to do in our shows and our stories, but that's also what we need to do as a filmmaking company. If we're telling the audience, especially young kids who learn by what they see much more so than what they hear, if we're telling them that your life will become better when you follow Jesus and you help others, that's the message of Game Changer, our first family comedy here, then how much more impactful will it be if we're actually living that out and using those proceeds to benefit people that are the impetus of our stories, which for Game Changer is, poor families, poor children, and children without parents, especially fathers. So we partnered up with Cross International for their work with orphanages overseas, and with the Fellowship of Christian Athletes here in Atlanta, specifically their urban team, where they deal with anywhere from 3,000 to 4,000 kids now, and about 98% of them have no fathers. And so that is a huge issue within the inner city. And we want to definitely shine a light and also send some help to organizations that are on the street living out that message that we're using to reach people to get that point across. So that's the gist about what we're doing here. I can talk a little bit about the film. I also want to say that what we're really trying to do with Game Changer and how we're releasing it, it's being released normally through different streaming networks, and it's going to start popping up all over the place here in the next couple of weeks to months. But one of the things that we really want to be able to do for churches is to structure things so that the church can use this as a community outreach tool. And one of the easiest ways to do that, we feel, is to make it presented in a way where the people don't have to buy tickets. I think it's a sticky situation to have your community and your church, your congregation, ask their neighbors or their kids' friends from school who maybe aren't churched or aren't believers to come to your church and buy a ticket to come see, this thing at the church. And we felt it out a little bit. And I just felt God was putting it on my heart to say, hey, try to find ways to get this project out there that it can reach people and they don't have to buy a ticket. They don't need to have that stumbling block to get, into the church where their kids and the family can see something with such a positive message. So that's really what we're focusing on here with our church outreach, is to, in the best way possible, allow this to be a community outreach tool so that it's an easier ask for your congregation to just invite friends and families that aren't in the church just to come have a fun night and watch a hilarious family comedy. And so far, we've had about 300 reviews from dozens and dozens of churches that have screened it so far. It's playing great with 5 to about 15-year-olds and moms and dads and grandpa and grandmas. And that's kind of what we were going for. We were going for slightly younger kids. It's real hard to entertain teenagers, as any of you with teenagers know, and that usually today requires huge budgets, which we didn't have. So we went for what was going to be the easier way to start the mission, and we will slowly grow into projects to attempt to reach all ages and demographics there. But what we have right now is basically a G-rated, really funny family comedy with a real heartwarming story, and it's a baseball summer film, so it's a lot of fun. There's some cheerleaders in there, and a lot of the girls that have come to watch it said they really appreciated that it wasn't just totally male centric, and so it's been doing really good. We've gotten a couple of great reviews from atheists and one glowing video review from a Jew who's not a Christian, does not believe in Jesus. But the summation of their reviews was that they were pleasantly surprised with how much they liked the story, liked the film, and saw the message that was coming across and felt that that was an extremely good message for families and children to get today. And they didn't feel, like they wanted to get up and walk away. And a couple of them said generally they get about 20 minutes, 15 minutes into a Christian film and they leave. And so we think that we're onto something here with how this story is coming across, and still something that, unlike Hollywood, directly ties that moral message and the growth of the main character right back to Jesus, which is the light that we need to reflect to the world. So we've got a couple other projects in the works already. God has really blessed us with being in a position where we can start putting other projects together. We're still working on the final funding for all of those, but we're starting to shoot a pilot here in about 3 weeks, and it is going to be basically like the Muppets meets Sunday School. So it'll be a series show that's for probably 3 to 8, 9, maybe 10-year-olds. A little bit more like the Muppets than like Sunday School, to have a running story. We've done some research and found that kids actually learn more from a traditional series show where there's an ongoing story that carries over. And so we've put in a very, very relevant and very great message, for kids that stretches over the season. And then it's just filled with a lot of, crazy, hilarious, goofy, puppets that I think will keep kids laughing, which will be a great way to get that message across. And so far, a little initial testing we've done in that, it looks like kids that are not raised in the church, they're really loving the little bit that we've been able to test with as well. And so we think that's going to be another really strong tool to reach people that probably aren't coming into a church or may never come into a church, and at least open up the discussion and show them, Jesus and how he is working in our lives, and how when we follow him and we bring him into our life, things change. And that's a change that they'll want. And so we've got a lot in the works, but we really are trying to do everything we can to partner with churches to help the church reach the community that's not already coming into the church. And that's where our primary mission is at this point in time, because if you're not reaching the people, how are they going to know? It's the Great Commission. So we want to do everything we can to help you bring people into your church, and then they can grow from, a full theology from trained pastors and grow in their faith that way. And we can be a tool to help open that door.
Right. And you know what, Joel, the neatest thing, of course, is New England loves their baseball.
Well, that's good.
we love our Red Sox here. So, I think I was telling Dean, I think a sports movie, especially, I think will play well here too. So, I think that's great. And we do have a clip, so I'm going to be able to show a clip when we want to do that. And so say a little bit. So Rock This World Productions. When did you start? When did you start that mission?
Probably around 2010 and 11.
Okay.
My last match in a professional wrestling ring, I got kicked for real and severely broke my nose. And I decided at that point in time that was probably going to be about the end of what I was doing there, unless we could get a good deal. And I'd always been a good guy. They ended up changing their mindset for how they wanted to put me into a big TV contract, which was a crazy amount of money and would have been on national TV twice a week. But they wanted to convert me to being a bad guy who literally cheated for the guy who was getting the belt.
Yeah.
And so I instantly thought, like, hey, I know my long-term goals here is to get into mission work. And if you make me the guy who cheats, how long is it going to take for me to win back a younger fan base So I pitched to them, hey, I'm interested, but I need in my contract that I get at least, 3 months or pay-per-view break to have a redemption arc where I realized that what I was doing was wrong. And you can even have the bad guy beat me up. He's, he was smaller than me. I'm like, it'll make him look great, whatever you want to do. But I have to be able to tell my fan base or the kids in the audience that I was doing the wrong thing. I now realized it, and I turned around and wasn't going to do it anymore. And you could hear a pin drop. There was utter silence. So that was the end of my wrestling career. And I came out, and it was just something that was on my heart immediately to first and foremost, to reach children, because that's what I had been doing for a few years anyways. But that has grown into, seeing so much damaging things coming out from Hollywood, and how every major character now, especially in the new action stories, which are appealing to teens and that area, all those characters are now anti-heroes. Literally, Hollywood has not put out a hero character in the last couple of years. And an anti-hero is basically somebody who does the right thing, but not for the right reason. So they're doing it for vengeance. They're doing it for selfishness. They're doing it for ego. And that just utterly destroys morality and removes it from these impressionable kids. And so that, again, was something from the wrestling aspect where it's just like, no, I'm not going to go out there and put across, this, based in anti-God, immoral message, without there being, the ultimate redemptive arc. And so that is what ultimately led to Rocketsville Productions. And then it just took years and years and years to get the right training, the right tutelage, the right team, get the funding for the first film, And the average film in Hollywood takes about 13 years. So we're at about probably 10 from when I physically started on this, and we're already working towards our first full series and our second major film, and another series is kind of in the works. So we're it seems like it's been a long time, but we're actually
it's been a little longer for me, Sandy. I actually I was in full-time ministry on the college campuses as a chaplain to college athletes. Actually did the chapel service for the Patriots when they came in to play the Falcons one year, several years ago.
Oh, wow.
But I had a vision from the Lord to do exactly what we're doing in creating content that would impact the culture in 1989. And so 33 years ago. And this is the fulfillment of that vision. So that's awesome. Really exciting to see. I saw there were a couple of questions. I don't know if you want us to go ahead.
I do. So I think the next slide I have here is about Game Changer. And I think after that, if you want me to show the trailer, I can do that.
Sure, absolutely. That'd be great.
So do you want to set it up for us, or should I go right into the trailer?
The trailer?
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and just go right into it. Let's see if it works, and then we can talk about it a little more at length when it's done.
Okay, sounds good. It better work. We'll see here.
Meet Jordan Gabriel, the best athlete in pro football.
Well, you're with a superstar now, so.
Fans, fame, fortune, he has it all.
I mean, he has got to be the luckiest guy alive.
Yep. Yeah. Yes, he is.
Hey, where's my money?
Or is he?
Lily Gabriel hits Antoine Rice for the championship. Logan Paul Everett.
Forced to coach a middle school baseball team.
That's John Smoltz. Remember, have fun. Lions on 3.
Can the best in the entire world show a bunch of kids what it takes to win when they can't even hit the ball?
Yo, coach, that almost hit me. I'm out.
Today's game is brought to you by
Stingray.
Sheer Luck. So I've gone from lifestyles of the rich and famous to an episode of The Ridiculous and Inept.
Are you mad?
Nope.
A story about teamwork, fun, family, forgiveness, and so much more.
No way!
Uh-oh.
Or can this motley group of kids finally show Jordan?
Look, guys, I'm new to this, and clearly I dropped the ball so far.
You don't say.
I like to get in on forgiveness. Starting over.
What it takes to truly win in life.
Rock This World Productions is a 501c3 nonprofit. Proceeds from Game Changer will support programs for women and children in some of the poorest countries in the world through Cross International, youth mentoring programs with the Fellowship of Christian Athletes, Urban Atlanta Sports, along with a few other similar children and family missions. By the grace of God, with you, we can change someone's world, one story at a time.
So there you go.
That was awesome.
It lagged a little bit behind on my end. I don't know how the rest of the participants, if it went full speed, it may have just been my internet, but just FYI, in case it lagged for anybody else, it doesn't normally do that.
And we can send them the link probably afterwards. So
Yeah.
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah, we can do that. Yeah.
So the quick breakdown on the story is I play a character who's the best football player in the league, setting all the records. I'm up for a contract renewal, and it's got to be the biggest contract ever. It's all about me. And I get caught street racing another guy and get basically sentenced to do some community service or potentially go to jail, which would cost me my contract. So I begrudgingly have to go coach a little league baseball team. And I absolutely don't like baseball. And it's kind of implied it's because I'm a football player. But what you ultimately find out is it's because my father, who's played by Corbin Burnson, who's a phenomenal actor, with about 270 films and TV shows he's been in. He was a professional baseball player and ended up walking out on my mom and myself when we were young. And so it really hits into the father-son dynamic and the need for forgiveness through that relationship. And then that's all kind of told out where my character learns the importance of helping others while he's working with these kids. And then it just kind of culminates at the end where I have to, make a serious decision that puts, my personal life and livelihood on the line, for one of the kids on the team. And I ultimately make that right choice and then reconcile with my father. So it's a great father-son story. Like I said, it's playing really well with girls, as well for some of the goofy comedy. I got very good at faking injuries and falling down in wrestling. So there's a couple of funny, makes all the kids laugh, at least, and a couple of adults when I go boom. But it's just been a great, great family film. And like I said, we're really moving to launching into ways where we can help, that community outreach.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah. I was going to say, Sandy, too, the great thing about this process is there is no cost for the churches to receive the movie. We'll give you a digital download. You can use it once. You can use it as many times as you want. There's no stipulation. There's no licensing fee. It's really a neat program. The way that we have it set up, churches will take up a collection a lot of times to help support our mission. That's not even necessary. It's not required. We'll do whatever we can to get the content to you as a church and be able to conduct the evening in a professional manner. We'll give you documents. We'll give you poster material, graphics. whatever you need to help promote the movie for your church. And that's been the area that I've really kind of been overseeing for the most part. And so to get a hold of me, I think my email address is coming up on one of the slides. It's just dan.k@rockthisworldproductions.com. And I think Sandy is also sending that out to everybody as well. So, so we'll get that out to you so you know how to contact me. I'm easily accessible by phone or email, and even carrier pigeon. So do whatever you need to do to reach out to me.
So that's it's easy as that. All they need to do, and like I said, I will send out all the information, after this, so that they can contact you directly, and then you have all the documentation that they need to know how to do that.
Exactly.
Okay. That's great. So, let me ask you just a couple of questions. So about the not so much the content of the film, but do you have anything, like as a follow-up, like if they wanted to have like a question and answer time after that, or anything like that for them?
We could certainly do a Zoom type event like this following the movie if they're interested. If people always enjoy interacting with Joel, asking him questions. He's a very large, bodybuilding looking kind of individual, as I am not, and with the WWE background, especially the kids enjoy asking questions and just chit-chatting with him and stuff. So, we can certainly work on putting together a Zoom call for any of the events that you want to do when the movie finishes. Okay.
Yeah, and maybe we could do if churches wanted to do them at the same time, they could do almost like a, one Zoom thing that connects to a whole bunch of different venues at the same time.
Yeah, you certainly could, and you could do that. Just put it up on the big screen, basically.
Right.
And
Right.
Sure.
Yeah, because it just seems like there's some part of your content that might, speak to a youth group or even to parents, or depending on what that you decide to do it with. So I like that idea. So. Great.
You bet. Yeah.
Great.
Absolutely.
Great. Yeah. Now, tell me a little bit about it's called the Ruggles Bunch. That's the kind of the Muppets meets Sunday School. Is that right?
Yep.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah, it's two sort of humanoid puppets. They got blue skin, to be ambiguous. And they're 12 or 13-year-olds, and then there's three bright colored monsters that are like and I can't talk and it really focuses on them coming together as a family. They're kind of all adopted into one family, and they're trying to launch a music type variety type show to raise money for the orphanage that brought them together as a family, because the orphanage is in trouble and needs the money. So that's where we get the issue that they have to overcome throughout the first season. And so it really focuses on working hard, practicing, not giving up. We deal with aspects of, the one monster is pink. So some kids at school make fun of her. And we talk about how, not so much into the bullying, but much more into the aspect of you don't need to change with whatever issue is going on outside in the world and media. We talk about how God made you who you are, and he doesn't make mistakes. So you don't need to change, and very, instead of addressing specific issues, we just try to bring it back to the truth of Jesus. where he would probably say the same thing, like, hey, I was, there when we knitted you together in your mom's womb. You don't need to change. I created you that way. And when you tell a kid who's, going through those types of situations that God loves you the way you are, and, not dealing with sin in that aspect. I think once again, that's a way that, that really attaches a message that kids can relate to, even if they are the bully or the one that's doing the picking on. But we focus a little bit more on kind of making sure that there's a lot of laughs and a lot of music. Some of the projects that have come out recently for kids that have been semi-faith-based have had no music or no jokes, and they've just gone nowhere. They've totally flopped. And you watch them for 2 minutes and you're like, do you have a kid? Because your kid's not going to watch this for more than 2 minutes. So we're really focusing on music, lots of movement, bright colors. We've got a lot of animation in there between the clips and things. So it's really designed to, to draw attention to the younger audience to where they will follow the story and get the message. And then the ultimate message is how they're coming together to do something to help other people. They got out of the orphanage, they got adopted as a family. So we'll be dealing with adoption and, and those types of issues very, on a surface level. But giving, the younger audience a chance to watch, characters that they can relate to, that they're young and kind of goofy, and not adults yet, overcome an issue by, working, hard and diligently at it, which again is a message I feel that's just almost been removed from the mainstream media today. And these are all just things that most of us grew up with. And, it was very, I was impacted by, Hulk Hogan, who basically just said, say your prayers, take your vitamins and train. And I'm like, whoa, this bigger than life guy said, say your prayers, wow, he knows Jesus too. And then, and for, as when I was little, he was always a good guy. And that alone was enough to get me, more interested in what was happening in Sunday school and on Wednesday nights and in church. And so really focusing on, on that, we're once again not pulling any punches. It's definitely pointing the, the arrow back to Jesus. But we hope that we're building to fund this through donations so that we can give it away in even other venues that we can't really do with the films, because the film budget is so much bigger that we're somewhat limited with how we can do it, because if we don't recoup our budget, we don't make our next projects. So we rely heavily on donations from people that want to continue to fund our mission and help us create content that Hollywood can't stop, and that networks that won't air this stuff can't affect, because we can get it out in other channels that may not pay as much, but still reach millions of people who would never step into church. So
is the Ruggles Bunch, so it's going to be a series. So it's going to be a series on live stream, or is it a series that, like, I'm just thinking of our churches here, would it, how many minutes is each episode? Is it something they could use in their kids' ministry, or a part of, an ongoing outreach for them, or something like that?
Yes to all of those, because what it is each technical episode is just under 30 minutes. We do have a few networks that have expressed interest in it. And that's what they're looking for. But because it runs together, you could make it shorter, you could make it longer, you could, play it in any amount. And it ultimately is broken up into kind of variety like segments as they're trying to put the show together. So it's set in a way where there's 6, 7, 8 minute clips that are individual scenes that kind of have their own message and their own point. And that allows us to put those out in individual clips out onto different channels as well to reach even more people. So yes, it would be very easy to get, hey, we need a 3 or 4 minute or 5 minute clip for a Sunday school, lesson or whatever. Well, here you go. And we can even help with some of the editing for that, because I'm sure if one church is wanting something specific, it's probably something many churches would want. So So yes, it's really wide open. And as far as how we're getting it out, we're still working out, those things. But we would love to be able to make that available as a useful tool to churches.
Yeah. And even if we could partner by writing some discussion questions for kids or something, or, I don't know if you already thought about that, but, that might be a way that, and we could help our local churches here too and push it out there for you guys. So
we are working on possibly a coloring book that has some of the Bible stories and messages in it. That would have, some of those questions too. Mom and dad or person at the church could say, okay, after this episode, ask these couple questions. But we'll probably have that by the time the series comes out.
Great. Well, good. Well, I'm excited about these possibilities. So, Dan, what else do we need to know? Sounds like you have a house full.
Oh, yeah, there's a little activity going on down the hall from me. I apologize.
That's all
right. As far as just partnering with the churches, it's vital that people talk about the opportunity, share it with other churches throughout the conference or convention, or however. I guess they got rid of the word convention now, but
right.
But throughout the region there in New England, we want to provide this with as many churches as we possibly can, and then in response to that, hopefully, people will partner with us to help support what we're doing so we can continue to do additional content. And it does take money to do that. And we're wanting to do things from the standpoint of excellence. We don't want to just put something out there without really having a quality product. And in this movie, Game Changer is a miracle in and of itself. If we had time and we could share the whole story with y'all, to see what we went through to get this movie done, it was absolutely a God story. And so the lives that have already been impacted, it's fantastic. So we want to partner with the churches, provide content as much as we can, often as we can, that's going to reach the unchurched, bring them in. It's an easy ask for people to ask friends, work associates, neighbors, family members to come and just to have a fun time with some popcorn and a good time with the movie, and not have to shell out, or take out a second mortgage on their home to afford to take their family to the theater. So, that's really about the nuts and bolts of who we are and what we're doing. So, are there any other questions that people have at this point?
So I will connect them with you. And and then the other thing I'll do too, because of course we've recorded this for people, but if it's okay, we'll share the trailer on our Facebook page with your contact information, and let them know that it's available to them as well.
Sure. And let me suggest this too, Sandy.
Yeah.
If any of the church leadership, if you're a pastor, or if you want to have your pastor preview the film prior to doing a movie event, I'd be more than happy to give you the full password protected link so you can watch the full movie, make sure it's exactly what you're hoping it's going to be, and have all your questions answered at that point. So let me know if you would like that as well, and I'll do that on an individual basis.
Okay. Well, I'll make sure I point people to you for that. So that's great. That's great.
They'll all be my new best friends.
All right. Right. I like that. I like that. Well, and I think we need to, I want to remind everybody watching, it's an awesome opportunity for a follow-up event. Again, I know many of you have already done vacation Bible schools or are anticipating a block party. And just a reminder that a movie night like using Game Changer will help you to build relationships. And that's what if you want it to be all about building relationships. And I liked what you guys said. It's an easy ask for people to come and just be a part of watching a good, funny film, that has great content. And you always want to make sure that you're continuing the connection. And so, hopefully we'll get some more information about the Ruggles Bunch, and that might be an opportunity for families to be able to, make another connection after this film, and then and then helping them make an impact, not only perhaps sharing the mission that you have for Rock This World Productions, and maybe even get your church and the people that are watching just to support the work that you're doing at a not even at a bigger level than we are at the local church. So, I think we can partner to do that. And many of you on tonight already have 3 or more people. And so you're going to be getting a $250 evangelism grant to help you with your movie night or whatever else you want to do for evangelism. But to me, this is a great ask. It's free for the churches. And again, an opportunity for them to make a connection with their community. So I love your heart, guys. This is awesome. So
that's wonderful. So glad to be here.
Yeah, and anybody, if you have any other questions, please, put them in the chat there. I have my email here, and we put Dan's email there in the chat, and I'll send that out to you in the next day or so, because I'll be editing this weekend and sending it out for you to share with your other church leaders who maybe didn't get to see it tonight. And we'll also send just the link for the trailer so you can see that as well. And know that we're continuing to do our evangelism webinars. And you see we've got one more coming up this coming month of July, talking about spiritual conversations. And then we're back in August with several about small groups and how to keep kids in the church, and, and then also how to train your Sunday school workers with, I said, yes, now what? So, and then I'm hoping that when you guys are ready to roll out the Ruggles Bunch, you'll let me know, and can do something, when that happens, because I certainly love to be on the front end of that for our churches as well.
You bet. We'll let you know as soon as it's ready.
That'd be great. Well, I really thank you. Anything else that we haven't said that you want our churches to know about?
We love them.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we love you. I can't wait to hear how the churches enjoy the movie. It's certainly fun and entertaining, and even engaging. You really get engaged with the characters as you're watching the movie. So I think
that's great.
Yeah,
and for those that do see it, if you are so gracious as to fill out a review for us, that would be marvelous. That's very helpful in getting the word out. So we really appreciate that kind of thing.
Yeah. And you send all that information that'll be intuitive for people to know how to do that after the film to do that. Okay, great.
Absolutely.
Great. All right, super. All right, well, I will, thank everybody again for coming. Thank you, Joel, and thank you for all the churches that were on here tonight and the folks that learned about this awesome opportunity. And hopefully we'll continue the connection with you guys and support the ministry that you have for not only for just New England, but for the rest of the world, because I can see you using this in all sorts of venues. You
bet. Absolutely.
Because I'm assuming you're doing it outside of the United States, doing it in other countries, and
we can do it anywhere.
Yeah, we're working on
global.
Growth everywhere. So
that's great. That's great. Well, like I said, anything we can do. And we have a lot in New England, where about 50% of our churches don't speak English. So we have a lot of Portuguese and Hispanic, and several of the people that are on tonight are from our Haitian churches, and they're very good English speakers. But certainly, films in other languages or whatever is always a good thing as well. So
that'll be coming down the pike as well.
Right? Yeah.
And let them know, and Dan, you know this too. We can send a Spanish subtitled version. I have that now. If there is a church where they predominantly speak Spanish, we can easily get them a copy that has Spanish.
Yeah. And we probably have about 25% of our churches are probably Hispanic, so that might be a good option for people. So
yeah, they'll still have to listen to my voice, but at least they'll be able to read what I'm saying. Can't do anything about this.
Come on, you could learn Spanish in a pinch there.
That'll be next year.
Okay, that's what you're working on then. Okay, sounds good. All right, well, thank you, everybody.